Yeah.
Well, she's gonna turn off the noisemaker. Okay. 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming to the November 2021 meeting of the Houston County Historical Society. It's our fourth meeting this year, here in November. We'll start off by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. If Scott, if you'll lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Leah, you ready with the treasurer's report?
The last 3 months, well, September, October, and just a little bit of this month, we've had $208.58 in income, and we had $72.54 in expenses. Expenses were postage, income we received from interest, from books, and a lifetime membership from Susan Knight Board. And one other item we received, a donation we received that Melissa will be talking about. So we have $3,055.54 in the money market account, and our CD balance is $11,333.59.
Any questions or discussions? A motion to approve minutes?
So moved.
Second? Thank you. And the minutes. Did everybody receive their minutes?
A couple months ago.
Yeah, I lost mine. Is there any questions or discussion on the minutes? And is there a motion to approve those as written?
As we remember.
As we remember. And I have a copy if you'd like to see them.
So moved.
Second. Okay. Have several announcements this time. First one is Veterans Day events. Ms. Susan, would you let us know about what's happening on Thursday?
On November 11th, that's Veterans Day, there'll be a Veterans Day program at the Tennessee Ridge City Hall. It'll be at 11 o'clock, it'll start promptly, at 11. It will be indoors, because last year it was kind of uncomfortable outdoors, but indoors we can spread out. People are encouraged, they can bring pictures of veterans or family, and they'll be displayed, on tables throughout, but it'll be a relatively short ceremony and remembering veterans that have passed away during the past year.
11, 11, and 11. The Stewart County Historical Society, I don't know if you all have been to the W.D. Sykes Museum in Dover, but when they're up and running full blast, they have about 100 and something Christmas trees. They will be having an open house December the 4th from 1 to 4, December the 5th from 1 to 4. The remaining of the season days and hours on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, December the 10th through January the 2nd, hours 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. They have Christmas trees from everywhere and everything on it, so it's a real treat to see that. Jackie, if you'll update us on the nominating committee for our slate of officers for next year.
I've been in touch with all our board members and officers except one. We're going to railroad her in. She's out of the country in Cairo, so we're going to say that the slate of officers will remain the same for next year.
We'll try to vote those in next month, or then we'll get going in the new year. Speaking of next meeting, will be December the 14th at 6 p.m. We hope to have food. With the COVID thing, and it's just not worth it to run the risk for our people. Jerry Wooten is supposed to speak on Johnsonville. You've read his book. We mentioned it, I think, once before. He's written a book on Johnsonville, and he's working on one on Old Reynoldsburg. Very interesting. We hope in January to get back on track for the dues for 2022. So, you're still getting your emails, you still want to come to the meetings. I've got a list of the lifetime members and who's paid what, but maybe we can get back on track in 2022. The dues are $10 per year per household, or $50 per household for a lifetime. Jerry? You're
Yes.
up. About your pictures?
I brought a book of pictures tonight, and I got like 300 pictures in there, and every one of them in that book's for sale tonight. I sold about $20 worth of pictures to the Red Barn, and then I took the money from that, and I finished that book. So the book, every picture in there, you can go through it and just pull it out. They're numbered, so I know what needs to go back in there. There's also 2 envelopes of picture up there. You can go through them. The pictures are 50 cents a piece, or we would consider selling the whole book for $200, which is a big job to build, so it's a good buy, you know.
And he's adding to that lately. so
Right. I've
There may
added
be
to
some in there if you've not seen them lately.
Some
Dan,
of
you want to
them.
give us an update on Charles Sweeney and the information that's online for him? Have you seen this, that TVA put out?
I knew they were going to.
They did.
I thought I was past that. I preached the funeral. And by the way, I'm not in the funeral business. That may be a one-time event. I want to really, there's a lot of people to be thankful to, and Donald is one of them. He stepped in and got information and pictures to me. Some of them were my pictures, but Donald had them stored better than I did. The short version is, I really believe that Charlie would have really been pleased with the funeral and with the graveside service that Cliff McGowan did. We had great support from the Marines, and it went, I thought it went real well. From the Historical Society, we've got the film, and Donald where is it posted now, Donald?
It's on YouTube, and it's at the link where we've got all the other Historical Society meetings listed. If you're on Facebook, Wes has put up a link with his article to it, or if you go to the normal link where we've got all of our other stuff, it's on there too. If you go to YouTube and search for Donald Bateman and then go to that, it'll show up.
We might want to get Wes to come talk to us one day. I didn't know that Wes Nolan was the reporter for the TVA whole system. And so we got a break. And because Wes was a hometown boy writing about what I think is a hometown hero. And his story is it's colorful, but it's fun. And I believe Charlie would have liked it a lot. Charlie was a Houston County through and through, and a Marine through and through. So,
Thank you.
Dan did a great job at the funeral too.
And our condolences to the family of Miss Scotty Booker. And I'll turn the program over to Melissa now, so I can give her a chair.
Yeah, you can buy a chair. Okay, I got handouts for tonight too.
Can you pass them out?
I'll get them started.
We haven't met in so long. And there's a lot that's happened in the archives, so I decided that I'd do a handout. Wait till everybody gets one. I will tell you that this is the 11th, I believe it's the 11th year that we have had this meeting in the archives. We started in November of 2010. Many of you that were here that night will remember that we put out a lot of exhibits and displays because the same night was the night of the legislative body meeting. And we invited all the county commissioners, and I put out stuff that was related to all their family members. And they actually had to come down and get Jamie Fazell before a vote because he wouldn't leave. So I don't know if y'all remember that. I remember that because I was trying to teach everybody about what an archives was. So, okay, if everybody's got a handout, this is a lot of what's been going on in the archives, and so I thought I'd put it in print so y'all could take it with you. As of July, the Houston County Archives has a full-time archivist. I started working full-time down here, and it's absolutely amazing what you can get done when you're working full-time down here. And so we've been, me and Leah comes 2 to 3 days a week to volunteer, and so we are very grateful to have her, and I'm going to explain a little more why we're very grateful to have her. First, I want to talk about grants. We apply for grants every year. This year, we kind of got very blessed because I applied for 3 grants and we got all 3 grants. And we got every penny that we asked for. The first one is called an ADP grant. It's a local government archives grant. We received $2,000 to purchase archival document sleeves to use with the photographs and some delicate, maybe even some slightly torn documents and exhibits that are in our court records. And so the ADP grant is grant money that you can only use on permanent government records. And so we chose those in the court records. The SBPG grant is for use only on historical or genealogical records. And we received $1,055, that's what we asked for, to purchase archival materials to preserve the UT Agricultural Extension photographic slides. When Sheila Settles retired, they cleaned out their area, and they've been kind of dragging stuff down here to us, which we're very grateful for. They've even thrown some stuff away down by the elevator, and I go dumpster diving and look to see what they've thrown away. But they gave us about 5 boxes of slides. And when I say boxes, I mean the big carton boxes, so that, like bankers' boxes. So there's thousands of slides in there. They're from beef shows, cattle shows, 4-H, all kinds of events for Houston County from about, looking at them, I'm gonna say from about the 1970s forward. And so we are going to purchase the materials to preserve those slides, but part of this grant requirement is that you have to put some of whatever you're preserving online for the public. That's one of the requirements. So as we digitize some of these, they're going to go on our webpage. And so we're going to talk more about that in a minute. The last grant we got was actually an ARPA grant. If you don't know what ARPA is, it's American Rescue Plan. Some of you may have heard it on the news. It's a big thing for, they're giving money to cities and county governments. Well, they actually had a grant for archives, and so they asked us what we wanted. And Donald Bateman and I had been talking about a book scanner. And that's a scanner where we can set books underneath it. We can scan the pages and get them digitized, and then we can either have like one of our old history books reprinted, or we can scan an old book out of the vault and have it digitized. And we got that grant, so we can be able to purchase that. So those are our grants. I'm actually going to be applying for another grant through the Tennessee Arts Commission. If you look around the room, we have a lot of art. We have folk art, we have paintings, we even have homemade textiles. And so I've been talking with the Tennessee Arts Commission about applying for a grant through them. So we're just in the beginning processes of applications. I haven't due till January. I'm actually going to be meeting with our local arts council on 22nd. I think that's 22nd. Yeah, it's 22nd. That's a Monday, isn't it? I think so. And talk to them about partnering with us, because grant people like it when you partner with other groups, just for support. We may be having an event next year or something to highlight the local artists. I'm kind of thinking of doing the local artists from yesterday and today, something like that. I think that our local artists are very important. Next is our webpage. I've been trying for years to get an online presence so that we could let people know what we have here. I am absolutely horrible with web design. I know nothing about it, and to be honest, I don't want to know anything about it. And so Leah has come along, thankfully. She knows how to operate that stuff, and she's been working on our webpage. So it is located on a free site. If you don't know, it's US Gen Web. It is across the United States and Tennessee, and then down to the county level. They have hosting, and they will host free websites for each and every county. So Houston County has their own website. I'm actually the administrator of it, and she's got it pulled up. But we have our own archives page on this website. It's much like what Jim Long has done over in Stewart County. It doesn't cost us anything, which is fantastic. You can actually put it on there. There's no limit, I don't think, of how much you can put on there, which is also fantastic. This is where our records, our indexes, finding aids, and even some of our digitized stuff is going to go. We've already started putting things on there. So some of the collections of indexes that are already on there are our circuit court criminal cases indexed from 1878 to 1989. The index of the sheep fund book Many of you have probably heard me talk about the sheep fund in meetings, so we've got that index, it's on there. This is something new and something that I found recently. It kind of goes a little bit along the lines of what Jerry has worked on with his photographs, the TVA Family Removal Cards Index. And I've got those. These came from the National Archives in Atlanta, Georgia, where you get pictures. But what it is, they are actually the actual cards that were produced when they removed families to flood Danville.
Are those digitized on their website?
They are not,
Do you have to pay for them then?
no, they're on Ancestry.
Oh,
So I downloaded and printed all of that they had. I've got to produce the index for it, but they are in alphabetical order in this book, so after if you want to look at it. I actually contacted the archives because what turned me on to this source was I was watching a webinar about TVA records. And they were showing these examples on Ancestry.com. And I was like, and so I went there, but what they were showing were some other documents. And when I went looking, all I could find were these cards. And so I contacted the National Archives in Atlanta and I said, I've got the cards from Ancestry, but do you have any other records? And I heard back from them today and they said, no, that for Danville area, all we have is the cards. So that's all they have, but it's something. Now I have some mysteries in here. There are some people, because it tells you where they were moved to and where they were moved from. Well, some people were moved from McKinnon to Stewart. Well, I don't know why that would be if they flooded Danville.
part of McKinnon was flooded
Was
too,
part
down
of McKinnon
around,
flooded? Okay, so
down around
that's
Cane Creek.
Okay.
Hey Melissa, can I inject something in there while
Yeah,
we're
go
on
ahead.
the subject? The pictures that I got from the National Archives, it was on a list of that they had for the Houston, Stewart, Humphreys, Denton, and Perry, all surrounding counties. All those pictures are not identified. They're just, if you go down the list I showed you, there's boxes and boxes of pictures that I wish we could ask them some way or another if there was any way they could get a grant to digitize all them. Because there's no telling what's in there. Because like the pictures I bought, you could buy 500, the number 554F, and then the next picture would be 970. So all those negatives are in between there.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I contacted them and asked them about getting these records, and the first thing in her email talked about is that they were still closed for COVID.
Oh.
They're not doing any research, and what they have, they're so backlogged. So I don't know if FEMA's are getting anything for a pretty good while.
Now, they also had documentation on all the graves in it.
Yes, but those are on Ancestry too.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so like this card here is for Bethlehem ME Church South. They moved in. One of the schools, Danville schools in here. Anyway, so you all are welcome to look at this. Like I said, they're in alphabetical order, but I'm going to do an index and it will be on the website. And then we also have our managed collection finding aids for those collections that are listed there. I just finished the election and voting records collection. Let's see. Oh, the telephone directory collection. We have gotten some really good donations of some really old telephone books, like from the 1930s. I think I even have one from 1927. I mean, those things are probably only 5 pages long. When you get back that far, it's just phone for earring. It doesn't even cover the whole county. We have the Louisville and Nashville Railroad Records collection, which we are constantly adding to. In fact, I just recently found some stuff on Google Books out of the Louisville and Nashville Employee Magazine from 1942. So we've got that to add. On our website, we also have military records. We have World War I individual soldier files. The World War I indexes from TSLA. Just today, we added links to the World War I YouTube videos that Donald has done with the Historical Society that I spoke here. Those are also on our webpage. And also today, we uploaded our map collection index, which are in those map cabinets. been working very hard on getting those cataloged. And so they're on there, there's just like those tags on those cabinets say, that's how they're listed on the index. We're gonna be putting much, much more on our webpage, and like I said, a huge thank you to Leah for doing that. She comes here and she sits in front of that computer and she works on it pretty much the whole time she's here. And she says a few choice words every once in a while, which is better than me, because I would throw the computer, but. The next thing I want to talk about is something I'm very, very excited about, and those of you that do genealogy research, I hope are going to be excited about it. We are officially a Family Search Affiliate Library. Here's our certificate. They don't normally take archives as affiliates, but I told them that we were that we had a library, but they weren't interested in being an affiliate. And so we are an affiliate. We had to get with TEC to get a static IP, because they required a static IP, which I don't know anything about computers, but evidently our regular IP addresses fluctuate for security, but they have to have a static IP because we constantly had to connect to them, I guess. I don't know if I'm saying the right things. So we had to pay for that, and it's something that's going to be, it was added to our phone bill. But now I'm waiting for them to get back with me to set everything up. And how this works, if you've ever been to Family Search and all the wonderful records they have on there, when you go to the catalog, or if you look at their records, you can look at actual records just like on microfilm. It's just like microfilm. But some of their records are locked, and you can only view them at an affiliate library. So when we get everything set up, if someone wants to see a collection that's locked, they can come here to this computer. They can sign in with their credentials, their username and password, and then they can see those unlocked records. So that is huge, because there's an affiliate library, I think in Dixon and one in Clarksville, but I understand from talking to people that they're hardly ever open. And so we're open 5 days a week, and that's what I wanted, some services for our history and genealogy community. So as soon as we have this completed, I will announce it. Another thing we have started offering are digitization services, and it's funny because, you know me, I'm always begging people to donate records, but we've kind of added the fact that we know people don't always want to donate, so we asked them to come in and let us digitize them, and then hand them back. But now, I guess word's gotten out, and so we're having people contacting us and saying, we have collections of stuff we want to bring in for you to digitize for us. It's something we want to do for us. They want to keep the records, but then they would allow us to keep a copy of the digitized records. Right now, we have one project we're working on. It's not for Houston County, but we were glad to do it. We have a family out of Humphreys County. They purchased a home, and in that home, they found original documents for this Edward Pruitt family, mainly his records. They date back to 1823, original records. Of course, she brought them all in Ziploc bags. These are some of the original deeds. And so what we're doing for her is she's allowing us, we're digitizing all of them for her. We're going to give a thumb drive with all the digital records to her. Give her back all of her original records, but then we get to keep all the digitized records for our records. So that's one thing she's letting us do.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is there an opportunity for you to set a fee or ask for a donation in addition to that?
Yes, what we're doing is,
I realize there's a swap out, you're getting, they're
Yes.
letting you have the records
Yes.
digitally, but that's such effort, it looks like it ought to be. I mean, if I came and asked you to do my family's history and digitize it, it seems a natural thing for me to say, well, how much is that gonna cost her, and I can make a contribution, help cover the cost of it.
what we're doing is part of the payment is us getting to keep the records. Like I said, in this case, it's Humphreys County, so it's not as significant, but it is significant because these are just old records that were sitting in a closet, and now they're gonna get digitized. But we do tell them, we would like for you to make a donation to the archives. I do it during my working hours, so it's, it's not causing me extra time. I don't do it after hours, I do it working hours. And we have another person that had contacted me today This one I'm excited about. She and her husband just moved into her husband's grandparents' house in Cumberland City, and they have a bunch of old photographs that are generations old and that have names on them. And so she contacted me wondering if we would digitize them. They want to keep them. I said yes. We get to keep the digitized records, and if you'll make a donation to the archives. So she's going to do that. And so that's kind of a service that it helps us. It's a win-win for us because it gets people in here, bring their records, their documents, their photographs. If they're not ready to donate them, then we can digitize them, and at least we'll have them that way. And so, and then it gets them a digitized copy as well, so help to preserve. I've also got another lady that is fixing to go through an estate sale. I contacted them and said, hey, if you have anything that's genealogical, historical, don't throw it away, bring it to us. And she says, oh, we've already got stuff set aside for you, we're gonna bring it to you. So people are really getting to know that we're here and that we are accepting things like that. But this is a service that we can offer because we have new equipment that we got grant money for. We have this new scanner, and before we could not scan anything larger than 8.5 by 11. This scans 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14, and larger. Because some of those really old documents are big. And so we're able to scan things. And then when we get the book scanner from the other grant, we can scan ledgers, we can scan big scrapbooks. We have some big scrapbooks that we need to scan too. And the whole point of this for me is to share that information. I mean, you all that follow our Facebook page, I share it on Facebook. We're able to share it on our webpage because we want to share the history so everybody knows about it. We should just keep it here in this building or nobody sees it or knows about it. So. Next is the Houston County Coffee Company. They contacted us a few months ago and they had a display case over there. It looks a lot like this one if you haven't been in the coffee company. And they asked if we would like to put some displays over there of some of our records and things. And so we've been doing that. The first one that we did was on school records and memorabilia. And then we did one because it was close to the fair. We did one on the fair, which is still over there now. The next one, I believe we're going to do one on the newspapers of Houston County. We've got an example of the newspapers going back to the 1800s for Houston County, so I think we're going to do that. I would love to figure, I had an idea, I would love to figure out a way to have a permanent small display over there. Take one of our bound newspapers, like from 1956, because it's a coffee company. Where you can go there, sit down, have coffee. And then they can read the day's news from 1956, like today's date, but from 1956. And then they can turn the page every day. I think that would be cool. But I don't know what kind of setup you'd have to have where nobody's really touching it, but they could get in there and turn the page for the next day. I had that idea. I'm not sure if it'll work, but. The next one is there's a yearbook project. I was contacted by the school board, and they are working with a company, and I didn't ask which company because I was wondering if it was MyHeritage or Ancestry, one of those, that are going to digitize all of the yearbooks. The school board has a collection of yearbooks, we have a collection of yearbooks, and the library has a collection of yearbooks. So what's going to happen is at some point, she's going to get with me, we're going to loan them the yearbooks that they need from us. They're going to go off, get digitized, come back to us. And they'll all be digitized. And then the school board said that they would supply us with a copy of all the digitized yearbooks. They said that the hardest yearbook to find is 1987. That was the year I graduated. Not here, I graduated from Dixon. But so if anybody has a 1987 yearbook, maybe you don't want to donate it, talk to the school board about maybe letting them use it so they can get digitized. That's the one they're having the hardest time finding. Our eBay project. We have an eBay project that we just started while we have been out. If any of you that has ever been on eBay, there is everything on there for sale. Jerry and I and Susan Knight Gore frequent eBay. I frequent it in that I've set up alerts where it sends me emails for certain words or names of cities or whatever, like Erin, Tennessee Ridge, Danville, whatever. And it sends me an email when something comes on for sale that pertains to that. I don't just stay on eBay, I couldn't do that. And so if I see something, I don't personally have the money to keep buying, and we don't have the budget here to keep buying. Now, Susan Knight Gore, for years now, would buy something on eBay and mail it to us, and would never even tell me it's coming, it just shows up. And so we got with Jerry. Jerry's been buying from eBay too. I'll get with him and I'll pay you back, you know, because I don't have a way to, I don't have an account to purchase. And so Jerry and I got together and we decided to start an eBay project. We talked to Deborah about the Historical Society donating a little bit of funds. But when Susan Knight Gore sent in her lifetime membership, she also sent us a donation of $100 to go towards this project.
Our letter is, Melissa, here is some eBay spending money. Susan.
As long as we don't bid against each other.
Right. I think maybe she won't now that she sent that. I don't
Okay.
know. Because she seems to me like she's starting to slow down on some of her things because I know she's doing more genealogy research and stuff, so.
Do you know what her eBay seller name is by any
I
chance?
do not. I can ask her though.
Okay.
And so, I don't know what Sherry, what's the agreement with the Historical Society?
Deborah said whatever I saw from here and I could buy.
Yeah, Deborah said. Now, I will tell you, there isn't a tremendous amount from Houston County that comes on sale on eBay. Now, what we have gotten in the last little bit, last three things we got, was this ashtray that says Pfluger Furniture Company. I mean, you know, who else is gonna buy this off eBay but somebody in Houston County?
Susan Gore.
Yeah.
We're sitting there bidding against each
I
other.
know. So, we got that. We got an envelope that says Erin, Tennessee on it. This is postmarked March 19th, 1949. I think it's the stamp collectors that post a lot of these envelopes. And so, yeah, there's one on there now I want to talk to you about. It's postmarked 1890.
Is it from St. Louis or someplace like
No,
Chicago?
it's Mary Carpenter is the name on it.
I was thinking it came from Chicago or it went to Chicago.
I don't know, but
Okay.
it's postmarked from Erin in 1890.
I also seen one of our pictures on there that I guess the National Archives released them, and this guy in England has it for sale.
I looked into that,
He's
and what
asked-
he's doing is he is going onto the archives website,
Yeah.
because some of those are on their website.
Yeah,
And he's taking those off of the website and he's putting them on eBay and selling copies.
this one was
You should do that,
three
but-
pounds and something, and
Yeah.
that totals $5 plus shipping, so.
And the last thing that we got, which I found kind of interesting, but since it looks like it can be mailed out, I figure they must send this to lots of people. But it is a March 7th, 1966 Louisville and Nashville Railroad Company accident investigation for an accident that happened here in Houston County in Erin. And you can read it, and here's a picture of one of the cars that was in, and you can read it, it's a whole story about what happened. I think didn't someone die?
Yeah,
Someone died.
it happened on the other side of Arlington, I think.
Yeah, on the other side of Arlington.
Yeah.
So, and this was on eBay. He had a stack of these things he was selling on eBay, not Erin, but this one was from Erin. So you never know.
Well, didn't you put something on here about the L&N website? Would you,
That's it. Yeah, I'm talking about L&N accident investigation.
oh, I thought you had something on here about you.
Well, we do have a collection of L&N Railroad records.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that's available on their website.
I don't know. I haven't been there
Yeah.
to see. I do know that in Louisville, Kentucky, there is an L&N Railroad archives.
Yeah.
And I've contacted them, and that's where I got all of the copies of the, what do you call it, plans, I guess, of all of the depots in Houston County. They had all those. So that's our eBay project. And so like I said, there isn't a ton that comes on there all the time, but I think it's great to find these things and bring them back to Houston County, especially stuff like this, you know. They use this for advertisement, Pfluger Furniture. You know, and so it started here. Sometimes I just think these things ought to come back here, so. Next is collections we're working on, which are a lot. But some of the records collections that we're working on, and I mean working on by processing them, indexing them, getting them ready for researchers to put on our webpage. Leah is actually right now working on the loose marriage records. Loose marriage records are extra records that are not part of the bound marriage volumes. And these include things like a second copy of the marriage license. They include, when we had to do them,
The medical test.
the medical test. Now, in Tennessee, by law, I'm not allowed to let people see those. And so if someone were to come in and ask me to see a file, I can't let them see that. Or I have to redact the names, which that's not helpful. But by law, medical records, juvenile records, and adoption records are sealed and closed. Even I can't let people see them. But, and then I've also seen parent permission letters in there, where parents have given permission for their child to marry because they were not old enough. And so really neat things in that. The next one is the Houston County Assessor of Property plat maps and property cards. I'm working on that one. These are, I have a lot of title people that come to look at those. Attorneys come and look at those. And so we're just getting them cataloged so that it's easier for us to find. And we can put it on our website so that we can tell people, hey, go to the website. If you see it, let us know. We'll copy it for you.
It's okay if I share a link on my side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Houston County Loose Circuit Court civil court cases. We've already got the criminal court cases index on our webpage. Again, these are the loose records. You have the bound docket books and the bound minute books that tell you something about the court case. But these are what, in the archives, what we call them loose papers. Some places they call them packets. And these were all those extra things like subpoenas and affidavits and witness statements and anything and everything. We have found some very interesting things. That's where I found that razor. Remember I told y'all about that razor? The guy was going armed with a razor, it's a shaving razor, and it was still in there. So that's in there. There's you can find photographs. Once you get up into the 70s, you start finding marijuana. That was just left in the court case. Stewart County, they were the first ones that started finding marijuana, because as you work your way up these decades, they have marijuana too. So, the next one is the loose chancery court cases. Of course, these are whatever happened in the chancery court. Again, these are extra paperwork that are not in the bound volumes. Probate records are mainly what's in the chancery court, and those probate records can have some really great genealogical information in them. Then the loose county court cases. Many people don't know or don't remember, I guess, that the county court, Robert's office, used to have court before they moved in the 1980s. 80s, I don't know why I'm looking at you, but I think it was 80 something, 5, I think.
The probate was in about 1980.
Yeah.
I think.
They moved, because Robert's office doesn't do court anymore.
Yeah.
So they moved them upstairs to the chancery and the circuit court. And there's a whole lot of other record collections that we're working on. We are constantly working on our photograph collection. We have a lot of photographs. My hope and dream is to one day get them all digitized, cataloged, so that we can find them easy. I mean, I do have them organized by surname or subject name in boxes and file folders, but I want to get as much of them as digitized as I can too. Our map collection, which are in this map cabinet, this first one here, and then this, the third one over there, and then in the middle are our 1966 aerial photographs of the county, is in the middle one. We have got, thankfully, lots of maps and blueprints, building plans. I mean, we have old maps. Somebody, I don't know who, went to Austin Peay and copied maps dating back to the 1700s for this area. And they did it every year, 1796, 1797, 1800, 1801. And it's just the copy of this area. So we have all of those. I mean, we weren't a county here, but you can see the area. So that's how far back our maps go. Then what's been donated? I can't even begin to tell you what all is donated. I can tell you that big thing right over there was donated recently by Sam and Judy Fazell. They told me that that came out of Molly's store. There was a big thing on Saturday nights that they used to have a raffle, and that's what they used to pull the raffle tickets out of. And then Lewis Cab Company. I cannot tell you who donated that because they wanted to remain anonymous. In fact, he sent somebody else with it. I have their names, but they wanted to remain anonymous. So I hope it's not stolen. But anyway, so when I posted it on Facebook, I got a lot of great comments about people remembering how wonderful he was and his cab company, and so we were very, very glad to get that. It's just a great piece of local history that we can put on display. Then we also got an original copy of Goodspeed's history from 1886. Now, Goodspeed's histories are all digitized and they're online. You can find them for free anywhere online. But this is an original copy, and if you don't know the story of Mr. Goodspeed, you should go look and read about it. Mr. Goodspeed traveled across the whole United States, wrote histories about each county. This one includes Houston County, Stewart County, Robertson County, Montgomery County, Dixon County, Humphreys County, Cheatham County. And what he would do is he would come into a community, announce himself, then he would go talk to the leaders of the community. And if you would slip Mr. Goodspeed some cash, he would write what you would want him to write about you in his book. So when you read Goodspeed's history, kind of read it on that. We got an original copy. This came from Billy Haynes' mother. She recently passed away. They were cleaning out some of her stuff. So we were very glad to get it, even though you can get it online. The original, holding the original in 1886. It's coming apart, but it's fantastic. And then we got the 5 large boxes of slides from the UT Extension office. Glenn Baggett actually donated 11 yearbooks that belonged to his father and mother, Austin and Elaine Baggett. We got 4 Erin Elementary that we did not have. And then we've got the others that were high school yearbooks. So we were very, very grateful to get those. Some research projects I wanted to tell you about. When you're working in archives and you work around these documents and photographs like I do, you can't help but see something and go, oh, I need to know more about that. And so there was a couple of things here recently that I've been researching. One of them is about a Rosenwald school. Does anybody ever know what a Rosenwald school is? Ever heard of a Rosenwald school? Mr. Rosenwald, do you remember his first name? He was a Jewish man, had a lot of money. He decided back in the 1930s that he would put up a certain amount of money to build African American schools across the United States. Julius Rosenwald. Fascinating man if you want to read about him.
President of Sears Roebuck.
Yes, he was president of Sears Roebuck. And so when his money, whatever amount of money he put out, I think you can find the amount, but once that was gone, he stopped building the schools. One of the schools that I cannot prove that his money built, but he was definitely gave money to, was the Hensley School. I actually have a gentleman who lives in Cumberland City, and I'm sure he won't care if I say his name, Mr. Bob Spencer. He's not from here. Him and his wife bought a house in Cumberland City. He's been in here several times. They're not really into history and genealogy, but I think the house they live in is making them be that way. He was interested in looking at the, is it Salem's Rest School, African American? Salem's Rest, right? So an African American school. Anyway, he was interested in that school. He found out about Mr. Rosenwald, and he came in and talked to me about it. And I had already gotten the school records from our school board dating back to the 1800s, and I had run around documents about Mr. Rosenwald, and I didn't know what they were either. So I thought, okay, I've got to look into this. So I did. And Houston County and Hensley School are represented on Fisk University website. They have the Julius Rosenwald records. They have digitized a lot of them, and they have that, Hensley School is actually listed as Erin School in the database. You can go to Fisk University, look for the Rosenwald database, put in Erin School, and you'll see it. There are two
Was it
pictures.
completely funded by him or was just part?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
I have documents where he provided money for books and other items at the school, but I cannot yet find where he provided the money to build the school. Now, Rosenwald schools were known to all look alike. They followed kind of the same pattern or the same architectural pattern. Hensley School looks like a Rosenwald school. There are two pictures on their website of the school that I've never seen and nobody else has really ever seen. I contacted them about us downloading them and using them, and they said, sure, for $30 a piece you can. So I went ahead and downloaded them. It says Fisk across it. We won't use them or publish them, but just to have them. I just copied and pasted them. But this led me to another thing. Mr. Bob Spencer came in again. And he said, I found out, he met with James Parchman and Dorothy Marable. I don't know how serious they are, but I think they're interested in trying to get a historical marker put over there where the Hensley School was. Because it was a Rosenwald school. And if you Google Rosenwald School and you look at images, there are tons of historical markers for Rosenwald schools across the country. So I think it's something the Historical Society, you know, like I said, I don't know where they're at with it or what, but I would be interested in being involved in getting a marker.
What year was that school built?
In the 1930s, I don't know exactly. I still have to research in the school board minutes books. They go back to 1895. We had an Erin colored school back in 1890s because the Midway court case that I researched, that map shows an Erin colored school on it. And I don't know if it's on the wrong side of the road to be Hensley School. So I don't know. So anyway, so he comes back in and he says, you know, there was a lawsuit. And I said, what? And he says, well, he says, the school was closed September of 1965, Hensley School was. This had to do with when they when they
Segregate.
right, and brought all the schools together because of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Well, part of that act says that if you close down an African-American school, you are supposed to, you meaning the school officials, have to find jobs within the school system for those principals and teachers that are in that school. Our school system did not do that immediately. So, the principal at the time was R.B. Marklin. The teacher was Macklin, sorry, I'm looking at my writing, Macklin. M-A-C-K-L-I-N, R.B. Macklin. And the teacher was Miss Mary, find it now, Mary A. Newbern. And so I went to the school board minutes. And September 9th, 1965, it says, a report of attendance by schools was given. The superintendent reported that as of September the 9th, Hensley School had a total enrollment of 10 students. He also reported that an average attendance of 20 students would be necessary to qualify for one teacher under the state minimum program. Due to this inadequate enrollment, motion was made by Dr. Luton and seconded by Mr. Stanfield that Hensley School be closed effective September 14th, 1965, and that R.B. Macklin and Mary A. Newbern be placed on a preferred list for reemployment as set out in section 49-1410 Tennessee Teachers Tenure Law, and their 1965-66 contract be canceled effective September 7th, 1965, and motion was passed. So then we come forward to September 30th, 1965. Discussion was held in regard to the employment status of R.B. Macklin and Mary A. Newbern. Superintendent presented a letter from a reply to Z. Alexander Luby relative to these two teachers. Z. Alexander Luby was their attorney. It was the feeling of the members of the Board of Education that the board had acted in good faith in abolishing those positions at Hensley School, and also that this action was entirely within the state tenure teachers law and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The superintendent reported that under Section I of the Elementary School Education Act, projects could be submitted for approval for additional personnel in the Houston County school system. Motion was made by Dr. Luton and seconded by Mr. Brake that the superintendent submit projects under Section I of the Elementary School Education Act that would, if at all possible, contain positions whereby Mary A. Newbern and R.B. Macklin could be employed to fill these positions at the earliest possible date. And that was passed. Then it says, a request was submitted by the Houston County Industrial Committee for permission to list Hensley School property as being available for industrial and vocational sites with no binding obligation on the part of the school board. Upon motion of Dr. Litton and seconded by Mr. Boone, motion was approved and passed. So this did go to court. And because it was a civil rights thing, it went to federal court. Then we're going forward to March 10th, 1966. Motion was made by Dr. Litton and seconded by Mr. Brake to approve the action of chairman and superintendent in the following positions. Among those positions was Mr. R.B. Macklin. Now remember, he was the principal of Hensley School. His new position is attendance and materials in Erin Elementary. That seems like a step down to me. But it's a position, so they were doing what they were supposed to. March 19, 1966, discussion was held relative to the court suit filed by R.B. Macklin and Mary A. Newbern. The superintendent and chairman reported that they had met with Macklin, Newbern, and attorney W.C. Knott on Friday, March 18, 1966. During this meeting, those teachers had voluntarily agreed to withdraw the court suit provided they were reemployed and paid their regular salary for the 6 months' time they were out of employment. So see, they did not reemploy them immediately like they were supposed to. The superintendent and chairman reported that both teachers had signed contracts and had been assigned to work. R.B. Macklin began work at Erin Elementary March the 14th, 1966. Mary Newborn would report to Houston County High School on March 21st or at her convenience. Then it goes on to say, motion was made by Dr. Luton, seconded by Ms. Sine, that the Houston County Board agree to the terms as set out above and the chairman be empowered to meet with those teachers and their attorney and sign an agreement whereby they would be paid back pay for the time they were out of work and reinstated as teachers, provided the teachers would agree to withdraw the court suit now in federal court. And then it says discussion was relative to obtaining the money to get the back pay. And then this is from the county court minutes, because they had to petition the county for some funds. They said that the funds, that they needed funds to be used to comply with the federal court decree issued by Judge Frank Gray, March the 22nd, 1966, on behalf of R.B. Macklin and Mary A. Newbern. So the county did pay for their court costs. I have been trying at this point in time to get a copy of the federal court suit. From this date, these records are located, again, in Atlanta at the National Archives in Atlanta. And they're not taking any new requests. I contacted the federal court in Nashville. They want $32 up front to even do a search. But then I was told by Judge Andy Bennett that those records are probably located in Atlanta at that archives. So I'm still trying to find the court case. I want to read the court case. So that's that one. The next one goes back a little further. Some of you may remember that I've got some documentation where it talks about the Stewart and Houston Fair. That we used to have our fairs come together. And I have that flyer that looks like this. Y'all seen that? And I've never been able to date it. It says September 20th, 21st, 22nd. I could never figure out a year. And at the bottom, they were going to have a sham battle and drill. And when I read that, I thought, okay, this could be like really, really old. I wonder if this is like veterans from the Civil War or reenactors or what. So again, there's days where you just want to research this stuff. So I go looking for newspapers. And I figure out this actually happened in 1906. We have the original. It's actually over at the coffee company on display. We have the original of this. And so the first one I find is 1906. There was a stockholders meeting at the Stewart and Houston Fair Association on February the 3rd at the Cumberland City Bank. A full statement of the affairs of the association for 1905 was made and found to have been a financial success, and on motion, a dividend of 20 cents per person was declared. Then it lists who were all on this board, who all participated. J.H. Laurie was elected president. W.T. Thomas was first vice president. O.S. Uffelman, second vice president. J.W. Stout, third vice president. V.R. Harris, fourth vice president, and Nixon Pickard was treasurer. The following gentlemen were elected additional directors: J.H. Bayer, W.A. McFall, J.E. McCracken, Sam Dillon, E.W. Washer, and George Stacker. So those are all men that were very well known in Houston and Stewart counties. And then they had the fair. It was a great thing. Special train leaves Clarksville. People came from all over. It kind of rained. It wasn't the best fair. But I found out what the sham drill was. The sham drill was actually companies B and H of the militia out of Clarksville. They were not, I thought they might be Civil War veterans or reenactors. So no, they actually were, let's see here. J.H. Laurie, president of the Cumberland City Fair Association, has made arrangements for a special train which will leave Clarksville Friday, September 22nd. That day will be Clarksville Day, and there will be special attractions to interest visitors. The train will accommodate all citizens of the city and county who desire to attend. It will also carry members of the 2 local military companies who will participate in a sham battle under the command of Major Robinson and the 2 local commanders, Captains McGehee and Gracie. And it talks about military boys will attend the fair. But what I wanted to get to is, hang on, let me find it. This is so funny. They talk about how great the fair was. They had, let's see, they had horse racing. They had balloon ascensions. They let big balloons go, or maybe that was hot air balloons. And they had a huge floral hall. Now that I would have liked to have seen. You think about 1906. And so, but then it rained, so one of the days wasn't that good. Now, this is the one I wanted to read. This is entitled Disgraceful Actions in the Presence of Ladies. Bad conduct of soldier boys on the special train on Friday. Grievous complaints come to this office today of the conduct of certain of the soldier boys on the special train to the Cumberland City Fair Friday, which the conductor seemed to tolerate or could not help, at least did not compel them to go to the smoking car for carousal. It is stated that these young men were drunk, flourished their bottles, filled the air with blasphemy, tobacco smoke, and bad fumes in the faces of decent people. That was not all. There were several women aboard from East End who were well behaved when the boys would let them. But the conduct of the boys toward these women, it is said, was disgraceful. So they got in trouble. But here's another ad for that same fair. So that's another little bit of research I did. Like I said, sometimes when you run across documents and photographs, it's hard. You want to go and find out what's the rest of the story. So that's all I have. I hope I didn't go too long. If anybody wants to, I'm gonna pass these out. I'll leave these for, this is a company that the lady is actually a friend of mine. It's called Family Chart Masters. They make family tree charts. You can send them your information and they'll make beautiful tree charts if you want to make them. They're great for Christmas presents too. So I'll leave that there. And this is the book if anybody wants to look at these cards from Danville. You want me to do that? And that's all I got.
Thank you. We hope to see everybody in December on the 14th. We're hoping to have a meal that day and add a dish. Our fellowship membership drive, Jerry Wooten, after his 3rd attempt, may be able to speak to us on his newest book. But the meeting will be at 6 o'clock at Erin Methodist Church, Fellowship Hall. Since we're having food, it'll be at 6. So hope to see you then, and we will adjourn, and you can look at the
I'd like to say thank you to Melissa and for all you do.